All right, this is the help video slash reading for Technology and Culture, reading 5 for Anthropology. People have always searched for easier and better ways of providing for their needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, and safety. In the early days of life, human life, survival was no easy matter. People spent almost all their time just trying to keep alive. Animals were sources of food and clothing, but they were dangerous. Keeping warm and dry in cold, wet weather was also difficult. Just finding and killing animals and eating their flesh was a full-time job. Early humans did not have an easy life. Throughout the years, however, humans discovered and invented things to help them survive. About 300,000 years ago, they discovered that fire, which destroyed, could also be beneficial. That means to help out. They learned how to cook animal flesh. This process made the food taste better. Cooking also broke down the tissues of the meat so that it could be eaten faster and digested better. Fire provided people with more hours of light in the day. Fires became central meeting places for people. They gathered around them to eat, to keep warm and dry, and to make tools and weapons for hunting. For many cultures, fire provided a spiritual experience, a good feeling that could be shared by people without the use of language. So if you watch that video on Horrible Histories, it'll say that fire was invented 1.5 million years ago, and this reading says 300,000 years ago, so I'm taking both between that time span as the correct answer on the quiz. Fire may have been discovered after a storm when someone saw the effects of a lightning bolt. Carrying the fire home on a stick, that person started a fire. There was only one problem. The fire had to be kept going. That meant that some people had to stand by the fire and make sure it did not go out. The need to keep the fire alive may have helped to bring people together and may have helped to build a common culture among them. For another 100,000 years, people had to guard the fire constantly until they learned how to create fire themselves. Another way the first people increased their chances of survival was by making tools and weapons from things in their environment. Spears and hand axes made of stone and bones were among the earliest tools and weapons. So that was one of the questions in there. What is one of the earliest weapons? And in that list, spear was. They were used for killing and skinning animals and killing other people in war. It probably took people in early times many days to make just one spearhead or hand axe. They may look like simple, crude tools to you compared to tools made today. Just try to make tools yourself with nothing more than materials early people use. With this restriction, you would probably discover that it takes months of practice to learn how to make a good spearhead or hand axe. At various times, many cultures developed the bow to help them project the spear. Spears were changed somewhat to make arrows. With the bow and arrow, the hunter could be much more accurate at hitting targets farther away. In addition to hunting animals for food, early people picked food from the ground and from trees and bushes. Only about 10,000 years ago, a very short time in human existence on Earth, did people begin to produce food by planting seeds and harvesting the crops. This process is referred to as agriculture. Okay, this is a little bit of a trick question on there because I phrased it that they gathered about 10,000 years ago. I said they gathered food instead of planting seeds, and that's called agriculture. But it really, agriculture is planting seeds. So that one was false because it talked about it gathered instead of planting, but really they started planting about 10,000 years ago. Okay. Eventually people learned how to use natural sources of energy to do work for them. Wind and water were the first energy sources to be tapped. A sail attached to a flat platform or boat allowed people to travel more easily on water. They found that wind would also move a windmill, which could provide energy. People learned how to tame or domesticate animals. The use of animals to do work made survival easier. Again, domesticate means to kind of train and make tame. So if you took a wolf and over time used it as a dog, that'd be domesticating it. All right. Oxen and horses and sometimes other humans captured in battle were made to haul things. Dogs, once tamed, kept people warm at night, helped them hunt, and protected them from attack. Without a doubt, one of the most important inventions of early people was the wheel. With the wheel, heavy loads could be carried long distances on vehicles. No longer did heavy loads have to be dragged or carried on a person's shoulders or head. Chariots, which are two-wheeled vehicles pulled by horses, were commonly used in wars. Wheeled vehicles pulled by domesticated animals became a way of getting from here to there in the shortest time and in the easiest way. The invention and development of new ideas and ways of doing things by humans is called technology. A trait of every culture is the development of some sort of technology. The trait includes the sharing of that technology. The sharing of technology may have begun with the sharing of a fire. Today, people depend on each other for much more. Our way of life has become easier in some ways and harder in others. Most people in a society no longer have to worry about killing enough animals for daily survival, but we do have to work for the money needed to buy things for survival. That alone takes more than a third of your lifetime. We depend on our technology, our tools, and ideas of how to provide for the things we need and want to survive in the modern world. Our needs and wants are not exactly the same as those of early people. Yet, where would we be without fire and heat, tools and weapons, and the wheel? What about technology and culture today? How does technology affect our culture? What changes are a result of technology? We'll explore these questions in the remainder of the unit. Okay. For technology, it does define that the invention and development of new ideas and ways of doing things by humans is called technology. Okay, and big inventions were fire, the wheel, the spear, bow and arrow, and there are a lot of review questions on this one, so you need to look back at your other notes. That's it for today.